In this episode, we talk about music NFTs, what we think of them, and how they can help artists to engage with their fans and make a living. My guest and kind of co host today is the one and only Ole.Eve. He's a former producer and artist himself, so let's go. Hello and herzlich willkommen to the Bernhard Neumann podcast. Here you get insights, assessments, and knowledge around the topics of Web3, NFTs, and crypto. I'm your host, Bernhard. I'm a Web3 and NFT strategist, and I help brands to enter Web3 successfully. My guest today is my friend Ole Lehmann. I call him the crypto raver for some reason. We will find out if that's a match. He's a very thoughtful, energetic force in the Web3 space. He has his own podcast. I really enjoy his posts on Twitter and LinkedIn. They have this personal touch and really lots of great insights that I value. So, welcome, Ole. Great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks. Great to be here. I'm a little bit flattered. Thank you.
Yeah. So, music NFTs. Maybe first of all, if you could introduce yourself real quick, and also there's a music background here that I already touched on. Yeah. What's your story?
It's funny to start here where I am now because I'm actually recording from my parents' basement. So I'm back home for Christmas. So this room is kind of where a lot of this stuff actually started. So as you already said, I have a background as a musician. I worked as a music producer for quite some time. I produced music for myself, but also for other bigger artists. So I kind of lived through all of the hero journey, I would say, a music producer or an artist has to go through with all its ups and downs. And yeah, it's been tough at times, but we'll probably talk about that later. So I have that background from a creative perspective. In 2017, I really got into crypto, degenerate stuff, became kind of a full-time trader, and yeah, really got obsessed with all the financial stuff, all the financial markets, economics. So I really, yeah, became nerdy about that topic. I think both topics are kind of connected through me being a little bit of an obsessive personality. So once I find something, I really go in deep. When I first bought my very first guitar, I bought it and I sat down and I practiced for 10 hours every day for like months until I could play some songs. So kind of the same thing happened with crypto as well. So yeah, I really fell into that rabbit hole. Yeah, like you said, now I have my own podcast and I post quite a lot about crypto, but also about solopreneurship. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, absolutely. We actually did. I approached you because I really enjoyed your posts, and so I thought I need to get to know this guy. And he has a perfect ENS domain, which is ole.eth. I mean, with such a short name, that's quite a feat. So can you ever be a former artist, a former something? I don't know. Like I feel like that's for life, no?
Yeah, 100%. I also believe creating content is not that different to creating music in a way. It's just a different medium, right? You try to transport emotions or thoughts out into the world. So I mean, each song is also you also need to know stuff about copywriting in a way to write a song, to catch the attention, to create a hook. Basically, a hook is called the same thing in a song as it is in the content. So they are quite similar, and I think I really need some kind of creative output in my life, and content also works for that. But coming back to your question, I stopped producing music for around 2 years now, but I'm slowly getting back into it as a hobby because working as a professional ruined it a little bit for me because my relationship to music changed a lot. And now, finally, after some years, like I really enjoy just listening to music again while I work out or while I just walk somewhere. So I would say I really found my passion again for music, which is one of the greatest outcome of stopping to produce music for some time.
Really cool. Makes total sense. I can relate. Similar with golf for me. So yeah, let's dive into the topic. I think we want to talk about what music NFTs are, but also what are your touch points with music NFTs as of right now? Is there any?
I wouldn't say not directly as the things that I produce, but I bought a couple of music NFTs just to get a feeling for it. I followed some music drops and looked at things like sound.xyz, or catalog, also back in the day. I actually also wrote my bachelor thesis about music industry and blockchain, which was mainly based around ideas around social tokens.
Mm-hmm.
So like things like co-ownership into musicians, something that really interested me for a long time. And I also followed Royal. Maybe you've heard about them. It's about like a Web3 royalty share program, kind of where you own a part of the master rights for a track. That's something I followed a little bit closer, actually, to see how they're going to develop it, and also to track the numbers a little bit to see if it's really worth it. But yeah, for me, it's been mainly observing the trends and also talking to people in the music industry, talking to musicians, because I think that's we can build all the cool things, but if someone from inside the scene is not really able to see the opportunity or is just overwhelmed with it, we just waste the time, in my opinion.
Wow, so much to unpack. Love it. I'm really excited for this. So
Let's go.
yeah, honestly, let's go. So a little background with me. So I bought like I'm also NFT degenerate. So back in November 2021, over a year now, there was this Ape in music NFT, which was related to the Bored Ape Yacht Club, and Timbaland gave his name for it, and it all looked and sounded pretty cool. Actually, the song they brought out was pretty cool. I bought that a zero point 0.3 ETH, like really expensive. There was a high ETH price back then, and so that was my first music NFT. And to be honest, that's also where my journey stopped for a year basically, because I thought, okay, now you sold me this NFT and it's the song, and it's really expensive. This makes zero sense. Like, I consume my music on Spotify, right? What do I do with a song on OpenSea, actually, really on OpenSea, where I need to connect my wallet? Everyone can hear it, and I just paid a lot of money for it. And so I put it aside for a long time, and now for a lecture I gave at a university yesterday, I picked up the topic and dove into it, and a lot has happened, and I'm really excited. And to me, music NFTs make a whole lot more sense now than they did a year ago. And so let's get into it. Yeah. Um,
What changed?
what changed? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the way people use it. See, I to maybe bring the conclusion up front. To me, music NFTs are it's a tool to get closer with your fans, to deepen that relationship, and that's really
Hmm.
where I think it is right now, and that is by far the best way of thinking about it. I think, like, I think you can make a living with it, and we will get into this. But I think it's really, people should approach it. Hey, this is a collectible, and it helps me to get closer with my fans again, because iTunes, Spotify didn't allow this interaction. And so that's what we will get into. What are music NFTs? Non-fungible tokens, so unique digital assets, which can have music in it, like they can link to music, so you can sell your music as NFT. That's a music NFT. But as we see, there's also art, like maybe it's just a profile picture type of NFT that's used within a music context. So I think music NFTs can be a lot of things. They don't always have to have music. Mostly they do. But that's how I understand music NFTs. What about you?
Yeah, for me, I think there are kind of two big differentiators. I think the one part is like financially incentivized. The other one is more of a fan loyalty program slash super fan status thing. And I completely agree with you. I believe that the super fan slash fan loyalty part is the one that's more promising, because if you think about what is it like to be a fan, or what has it been like to be a fan, like most people don't care about earning some money with their favorite artist because they love them, right? It's like such an emotional connection. They would do everything to support their artist. They buy every ticket to every show. They just want to be part of an identity. And I think if if the market has shown us one thing, then like non-fungible things are really good to connect you to an identity. So NFTs, like non-fungible tokens, um, they're a great basis for this. And I think on the other side, if you look at financially incentivized models, like I said, we have maybe like a revenue split. The artist earns 100K, and I don't know, 10K will be split between the top super fans. I think the relationship changes so much because it becomes a speculator's item, and I don't think that most artists want to do that if they don't want a cash grab.
Mm-hmm.
And many artists have done quite some damage to their fan bases and to their reputations with basically grifting, doing NFT drops that they say they're priced way too high. They don't offer any value. If they offer any value, it's based on like really faulty math or like some weird model that really doesn't work in the real world.
Mm.
So I do believe that music NFTs are a tool to deepen the experience between an artist and their fans, to really, because it's like more of a two-sided conversation if you use an NFT versus just pushing out content. So if I get an NFT from you, if it's just like a proof of attendance, for example, I don't know, you went to all the concerts, and every time you go to a concert, you get a proof of attendance, and then if you own all of them, you get an airdrop of maybe a special song or an event ticket to a special venue only for the super fans. Things like that that really deepen the connection. And also, I mean, fans, they love to collect everything, basically. They collect tour posters, they collect, whatever, anything, basically. They buy off, some people buy those Travis Scott, I don't know what it was. I think like some kind of cereal boxes. They were really expensive on eBay because fans just collected them, right? They collect the stupidest shit. They collect the Travis Scott burger poster from McDonald's. So if you think about that, those are collectibles, right?
Mm.
And if you want to go in that same lane, what are fans already doing? I think that's the important question to ask. What are fans already doing? Where is like maybe some overlap already? So I actually talked to someone and they asked me, okay, what is the easiest way to start? Right? Like what can I do to start? And I just told them, just try something unscalable kind of. Just look for your maybe top 5 fans on Instagram. They comment on every post, they like every post. You have been in interaction with them for some time, and just write them a DM, basically asking them if they have like an Ethereum wallet, or tell them to make an Ethereum wallet. You have something special for them. Then you just create a low-cost NFT on Polygon. That's the Ethereum sidechain with lower fees for those who don't know. So it's way easier, way cheaper to mint an NFT. Mint an NFT and just send them to them. Just onboard them. I think it's really cool for artists to try out these little experiments that just create this experience and get someone into this ecosystem. I think that's super important.
Mm.
Just to kind of get going on a very, very small scale and not overthink it in a like, how can I create the craziest tech product with all the utility in the world?
Yeah, that's such good advice already. So I loved how you separated, like this collectible aspect, and then there's this movement within the NFT music industry where you have this financial model. Hey, I'm a part um, co-signer of your album here. I want it to happen, and here's some money up front so you can record it, and then I get some revenue share. And I totally agree with you. And it was nice to hear from a musician artist like yourself, that this collectible aspect that's so inherent to music culture. And that's what I also tried yesterday with the students to get them to understand. Hey, now we have it digitally, and it just makes so much sense because our lives are very digital and get even more digital. So like whatever you think of it, really, like of NFTs or anything, but if you can like frame it in your mind, hey, this is a digital collectible, the tech actually works, it's been working for a lot of years, people accept it, people pay a lot of money for it, and now we have this collectible. And I see some parallels with gaming, what you mentioned. People don't need to make money with those collectibles, right? Like there's some people, maybe 0.01%, that actually like buy. I know a person that buys movie props and resells them for profit, right? Like the Star Wars helmets or whatever. But most people, hey, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I just want to buy this thing and own it and have it for myself. And I think this is yeah, the way to think about music NFTs, as you said. I would also recommend not to touch this financial side unless you really have it figured out. Like, it's called tokenomics basically, and what you said, the problem is when you go with high ticket items, high value, like they can go lower. For example, the NFT I bought, like I bought it for zero point 0.3 ETH, where ETH was at 4,000. So this was a crazy expensive music NFT. Now it's worth a tenth of it, and I just have this bad feeling with this group of artists, and that's what you don't want as an artist, right? You don't want your super fans, and they are your super fans. You don't want to drag them down, and so
Yeah.
yeah. So for you, is music NFTs, yeah, a viable option for many artists already?
Yes, I think so. And I think so. You should completely pay attention to it, even if you're a small artist, or maybe even because you're a small artist. We've been seeing some newcomers. I think one of them is called Daniel Allen, and he just basically sold out his whole collection. I think for like a 100 grand or something like that. So quite substantial. And he started as a Web3 native artist with no followers, with and his Spotify is still like, if you look at it on a bigger scope, it's not like crazy and impressive if you compare it to like regular, like mainstream artists, or not even mainstream artists, like, oh yeah, artists that don't use Web3 basically. um, and he started with like very small drops, and he went another route. So maybe we can circle back a little bit to what you just said. I would not say don't use financially incentivized models at all. It's just be careful. I think that's the important part. And if you use them, don't try to collect as much money from as many people as possible, but go very small. So if you want to raise money, rather ask yourself, who would be like my 10 craziest fans that would pay 10 times more than everyone else for a product. So you create it's more of a, maybe create like a high ticket item, but also give a lot of value. So those could be really like it's including a meetup with you somewhere, only 5 people for a private dinner, whatever. Or they have some co-creation spots in your album. They can design the cover with you, whatever. But you have to think about something. But this also works. So
Yeah,
just to that, I have one question. This sitting on my mind. Okay, I have to ask
let's
it now
go.
because otherwise I forget it. You just talked about that you had this talk in front of those I don't know, students.
Hmm.
I think it was. What were the questions on their mind? Was there anything you were like, okay, that's something I didn't think about?
Yeah, like there was um, the eco-friendliness part, the environmental
Mm-hmm.
concerns about blockchains. There was actually, like, I had several talks this year, and it always came up with students, which I thought was very interesting. That's what they wanted to know. They wanted to also understand the tech also behind it a little more, like how does Web3 actually work, and they went into the royalty stuff. They wanted to understand if royalties, if I think that royalties are a mechanism that's part of a business model with music NFTs, and we will, I think, touch on that in a second. And those were, I think, the question. What else? No, but yeah, they went into that direction. Yeah, security, how easy it is to handle. I think that's one of the biggest ones, right? Like, do I need to be a Web3 professional now to buy an NFT, or is it maybe as easy as give me your email and give me your credit card, and here's your NFT?
Yeah.
And so those were the questions.
Okay. I just had to
Yeah,
ask.
yeah, for sure.
Okay. Just coming back to the question, I just half answered it. If anyone should do music NFTs as a musician, yeah, absolutely. I think when you're a musician, you basically your competition is crazy. Like, I can speak from my own experience. It's just a very, very, very crowded market in general. So everything you can use to kind of differentiate yourself from the rest is already a thing you should really focus on. Some years ago, it was okay, just focus on TikTok. Maybe no one's doing TikTok. Now everyone's doing TikTok, right? Everyone wants to blow up on TikTok. Um, but some new technology is around, right? Web3. got bigger and bigger now, and there are like a lot of cool music NFT startups that build solutions for musicians, how they can upload their music, how they can create those little fan experiences, and they are all free. I think most of them are free. I think pretty much all of them are free, and it's like such a small ecosystem. And I think it's this like, okay, do I want to be a small fish in a big pond, or do I want to be maybe a medium-sized fish in a yeah, in a smaller one, or a big fish in a smaller one? So I think it's really worth your time concentrating on Web3, because Web3 is very digitally native. I mean, those fans, I think they, if you think about a fan as you think about a customer, um, I think they would stay at the forefront of technology. So they are very young and very open to new things, which is great um,
Mm.
for your audience in general. So yeah, it's,
Totally
sorry.
makes sense. I would maybe you segued already there. I would like to touch on Sound XYZ. We have no affiliation with it, just a disclaimer, but it seems to be the most prominent platform for music NFTs as of right now. And what really struck me here, and I'm interested in your opinion, it never occurred to me. So with Spotify, there's no social aspect to Spotify in the interaction between musician and fan, right? Like maybe you could argue that I can see your playlist and I can see what you're listening to right now, so there's a little social aspect, but no social interaction. And that's what I really love about Sound XYZ, the concept. They say, hey, music is so personal, is so emotional. How about we create a platform where you can first of all own your music and have this feeling of a collectible that you had back then when, like, I bought my first Beatles CD, I bought my first Backstreet Boys. Yes, love the Backstreet Boys, as we all do. And so you have that experience, and you have on the same platform you have the chance to create a social interaction between a musician and fans. And that really got me going. And then I thought, is hey, here is something that's kind of, I don't know, better, but very viable, also compared to this giant Spotify. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Actually, one thing just came to my mind, which is kind of interesting. I think we already get great signal that this is the right direction from the Web2 players. You probably know those Spotify Wrapped things, right? At the end of the year, you get this overview. Okay, you have been in the top 1% of Taylor Swift fans, and so many people post those online.
Mm-hmm.
Which when I just this came to my mind, which is interesting because it's kind of a proof of attendance or POAP or a super fan status, which could be totally an NFT, and it's like the most viral content ever created around Spotify. So I think just something, if you're looking for a signal around the noise, that's already a good signal. Social interaction in music, super important. Now come if we look at Sound XYZ, what is special about Sound XYZ? Um, you have those little drops. So I'm a musician. It's a curated service. That's important to know. So you have to get through the curation process. But if you're selected for a drop, and those aren't super big musicians, so it's not like Drake is dropping his songs, right? So Bernhard wants to drop his new trap tape, and he's gone through the curation process. His song "DJs United" is going to drop on Sound, and so you can see the little drop, and it has a price on it. But then I think before the release or shortly after, there's a small listening party.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a little room, and people listen to the track together, and they can vibe together. And you can leave a comment if you own it. You can leave a comment on this track on the blockchain. So you kind of carve your own up. Oh, this is my favorite drop, or I don't know. Bernhard was here. Bernhard dropped this beat hard at 2 minutes and 14 seconds. So you also have some kind of signaling I was early, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if your comment on the track is on the day of release and you say, oh, this is going to be the huge hit of this album, there's also some social, or maybe you earn some respect for it, or you have a very good bond with the musician. So I think many parts of this are pretty interesting and unique as well. And I think I saw a Dune board. If you don't know Dune Analytics, it's a great free way to track different metrics in crypto. from you can basically build your own dashboards. That's it. And someone built a dashboard for sound. Maybe you can link it in the comments or something like that. It's really interesting. And the sales have just been steadily going up throughout the whole bear market, which I think in no other NFT sector really happened,
Mm.
which is also very interesting. So Sound is definitely a company you need to check out. And I can also see other companies going in the same direction, maybe making it even a little bit easier because it's still pretty Web3 native. You have to have a decent understanding of how do I have to use my wallet, how does all the transaction stuff work. The prices are in ETH for everyone who is not familiar with crypto. It's already the entry is little bit harder at that point. But I think Sound is a great company to watch in general. And maybe if you want to take inspiration as an artist or even as someone who wants to build infrastructure for music, that's
Yeah.
great company to watch.
Really cool. Yeah, I just I feel like I want to summarize it because this might be already the playbook for artists. Really, like what it doesn't have to be the sound platform, but make it a digital collectible so people have it as they can collect it, make it so people can be the first at something, can be an early supporter which they
Yeah,
like to show, add a social layer to it that really matters, that could be so much more engaging than Spotify is today. And I think you're there. Like that's I think a great way to think about music NFTs.
yeah. Maybe we can touch a little bit on like it's all cool in theory, right? It's all we have good nice tech and like the world's gonna change, but let's look at like how what is the life like for a real musician. And I've been talking to many of my artist friends, and some of them are like quite successful, like pop star level successful. And throughout like, every different niche in music, the answer is often the same. It's like I don't have time. I already have to learn how to do TikToks, how to do my Instagram stories, how to do this. So I think that's actually the main issue. Most um, of the builders in Web3 are completely ignoring is like the onboarding has to be super easy, and we have to think about how can we create something that's um, as easy as possible. Like you said, maybe you said, okay, drop a collectible. So maybe we have to think about what is the easiest way as a musician to drop a collectible, and what could you base it on that you already have. I think that's that's a good question to ask yourself.
Mm.
So maybe if you're an artist, every release has a cover art, because you have to have one for Spotify. So maybe if you already have your cover artwork, that could be your first collectible, and you can maybe produce 5 different versions of it. Maybe make one look a little bit crazier, a little bit more interesting, a bit funny, with some reference to an older track of yours that has some sentimental value. So you don't have to create a 10 pieces profile picture collection to get started. So maybe it's a good idea to, if you want to get started, to start with what is something I'm already doing or already creating. Or maybe you're already working with an artist for your artworks and you just ask them, or maybe let's sit down and how can we create a collectible together?
Really cool. That is, so valuable. I hope for artists out there. I think that's the approach. I was asked yesterday also, coming back to that, how difficult is it to, and how expensive is it to create a digital collectible, to create an NFT? And the answer is not very expensive. Like it depends on your financial means, but for $30, for $50 max, probably even way less, you can easily create a collection, no problem, even on Ethereum. And the interfaces you can use are basically, maybe compare it to setting up Mailchimp, to setting up a newsletter, or to sign up really for your email account. It's not that much more complicated. And so I just wanted to get this out there. Like, don't let the tech hold you back. Like, there is some tech, and if you want to get more fancy, with smart contracts and with NFTs, yes, then you might need a developer. But if you say, hey, I'm just want to create this digital collectible in order to reference it a Web3 and a Web2 journey where I can reward people for being a great fan, then this like the technical aspect and the monetary aspect is really not that big of a deal. At least, how do you view that?
No, I completely agree. So yes, I completely agree. No, I completely
um,
agree. So I don't think that money should be the issue of getting started. And there's so many no-code tools out there, so you don't have to be a developer. You can even build pretty interesting stuff without any developers. So not only the completely like basic stuff, but there are great tools out there. And honestly, like every week we get new tools. So but I have another maybe
let's hear the
motivational
speech. We
point for
need
that.
this motivational music now. Maybe I can add it
Yeah.
later.
Okay, I need the Gary V like hand thing. And he's always does holding his hand like this.
Really?
Okay, okay, let's
I
go.
never seen that.
No, you have to watch out for this. No, so basically, my point is, if you're a musician, like I said, it's crowded as fuck in the marketplace, and Web3 really is an opportunity for you to get onto a market that's new, and there is a entry barrier, and it might be the tech, and the tech might scare you, but it's just so worth the effort taking the extra steps because this already filters out so many people that will come in when it's easier. It will get easier, but that's not good for you. It's good that it's not easy. So that's maybe my main point. It's good that it's not easy because that filters out everyone who's lazy, who's complacent. So if you're open-minded and if you want to have the future now already and you want to have your future fans now already and your future money your future financial security, it's a great way to get started and you really have nothing to lose.
Love it. All right. So really interesting stuff. In the next short segment, I would like to go through some use cases with you, Ole, because like theory is nice, but what have people done already? And maybe I just introduce them to you, say what they're doing, and then we can just talk about what do you think of that. Also with your background. So we have one artist, Violetta Cironi. She's an Italian artist, and she's quite celebrated for how she's has entered Web3, and it's not that crazy from a perspective like me knowing NFTs. But what she has done, she has 5 songs, and she brought out a collection of 2,500, sorry, unique hand drawn um, art pieces. Yeah, and like with behind those art pieces were 5 different songs, and she had also what you mentioned, she had different frames. She had like a golden frame, a silver frame. So she introduced some rarity, which she later uses for giving different utility. If you have a golden frame, then you get special perks, like you get a signed poster of her, or you get free tickets to her concert, and all that stuff. And so I thought what she did really nice was, yeah, first of all, she's really active in Web3 space. So she did her homework. She connected with her audience that's already like there. She's a Web3 artist, and second of all, it was a high effort art thing. Her dad drew the art, which is he's a Disney designer for 30 years or something. And so that's what she went in with. And so I think it has basically all the aspects that you would want probably from a music NFT drop. How does that sound to you, this little
Sounds really
pitch?
cool to me, especially the connection to another artist is really interesting. Like you said, if her dad was or is an artist,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great way to start if you're a musician to maybe look for an artist to collaborate. So maybe if you're just a musician and you have maybe even a tattoo artist friend or a sculptor or anything like that, it's always great for the story as well to be like, okay, I didn't get anyone on Fiverr to do some shitty artwork for me for 50 euros, but I actually tell a story. I think the storytelling aspect is really important. I'm actually telling a story with my NFT, and this is the artist, and this is the name of the collection, and it has this and this backstory, and this is why it's connected to my music. Or maybe you even tell your story, like how old I met this guy when I was just broke up. with my last a girlfriend, and we were having a drink in a bar, blah blah blah. And, those things, they, like you said, those the stories are always the most important part. So
Mm.
I think, yeah, it's actually a good way to do it, especially if it's your father, right? It's a great story, and
Yeah.
like I said, you tell me this story, and this is what I will probably remember. So that's probably the main takeaway. It's a good, yeah, good one.
Yeah. What do you think about the size? 2,500? Does that sound a
Yeah,
lot or?
sounds a little bit, little high to me.
Mhm.
So
It
I
did
think,
work for her for sure. Like, and the floor price also held. It actually increased quite a bit, which is not the main issue, but we bring it up because people then, if it drops very low, like they feel, I lost money on this.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I
that's
agree
maybe,
with you. Yeah.
that's one point really to touch on, that if you issue a speculative assets, there are two big problems with it. The first problem is you gotta be sure it's legal for you, because in many countries it's not, and it's something we have to talk about. So you have to check on that, and if you don't want to issue any securities, you can get in some substantial trouble for that. The second one is, it's it's a pro and a con at the same time. So if you have a speculative asset and it's going up, it's the best marketing ever. And if you have a speculative asset connected to you and it's going down, it's the worst marketing ever. So it's kind of it can supercharge your growth in a way, because people will talk about you if your prices go up a lot. It's just how
Mm.
humans work. They talk about the things that go up a lot or go down a lot, because
Yeah.
that's basically just connected to human emotions. So a smaller collection probably doesn't have a risk that's as high, because if you think about supply and demand, right? If I only sell 10 apples throughout the whole summer, those apples probably will sell. um,
No,
but if
such a good point. I think very important. Like that is, you. I think you nailed it there. This interaction of how many NFTs you sell, the price. It really, like, I would really think about it. How can I yeah, like make that in a way that it's probably a good deal either way for the
Yeah,
fans. Like, like if you actually buy it for $50 and you get a free T-shirt and everything, so the value is there, and those are your super fans. Like, yes, you want to make money down the line with your super fans, but you don't want to like grab it right now. Like, it's fine. This is
yeah,
why NFTs are the starting point. Like, that's also when I work with brands, like they need to understand that the sales of the NFT, this is when the journey starts. Like with a product, usually this is where the journey ends. Thanks for
100%.
shopping with us.
Yeah,
But it's totally the opposite. And so you don't want to start too high. You want to make the best deal for those people while still giving you the chance to earn a living, and then you build up. Like uh, in marketing, my background is branding marketing. I mean, the most important thing is customer retention and customer lifetime value, right? And if you have a strong connection with a super fan, I mean, this is going to work for you. And I actually I wanted to get back to this. Now I can. This is a nice transition with the 1,000 true fans. You've read the essay, probably everyone has, and I argued 2 days ago that um, like if the author had known NFTs back then, he wrote the essay in 2008. He probably would have mentioned NFTs. I'm just gonna
hmm,
like as a bullish NFT person, because yes, this is such a great tool to really create a bond with your fans, and there you also don't need 10,000, fans if you want to make a living. It can be this kind of number, 1,000 through fans. And I would be interested, since you're very close to musicians and artists and everything. How do you think about the size of an audience you need, and how you tackle that?
um, yeah, I think a lot of musicians face a big problem that's based on how algorithms work these days, because you always try to get viral growth, you try to get as much exposure to new eyes as possible, right? You want to reach a million people with a TikTok, or you want to get your song on a playlist that plays it a million times in a day, and a million like different people will listen to it. But that comes with a huge price, because many of my friends, they have real struggles building up relationships with their fans and building a loyal fan base. So I think if you're a modern musician, you should really work on both ends of your funnel. If your top funnel is your viral growth and okay, as many people as possible, you should, like, the end of the funnel should be like your 1,000 true fans, and you should put like equal amounts of your time and energy into both of these things. And most people only focus on the viral part, and then they have 100,000 followers, but they don't sell out concerts because they don't have true fans. They
Mm.
have a lot of eyes on their content. So I think it was never more important to focus on the 1,000 true fans than it was now, just because inherently how the whole content machine changed. And the platforms like TikTok are especially bad for musicians because they work around an interest graph, not a social graph. So probably you also always try to get on new people's For You pages, and they won't really look at your name. They will see one of your videos maybe, and then they swipe right and they see another video of someone completely different, and the song is also just very small in the corner. So it's very hard to hold retention, like you said. And if you
Mm.
want to hold retention, NFTs are a great way to kind of just think as of like an old school fan club. That's it for me. And I wanted to touch back on one thing you said before when we talked about the pricing part, and I think it kind of connects a little bit. I think you don't have to. Your first NFT could be free even, because like you said, the journey begins once the NFT is out. It doesn't end. And there are so many examples of. I think it was the Proof Collective, which is one of they launched Moonbirds in the end, and the first Proof Collective NFT that basically just got you access to their collector base to special drops. It was just an entry ticket basically, and I think it was for free or was very cheap. Our G Money did the same thing for his fashion thing, so it was for free. But they delivered so much value to the holders that over time that those free NFTs became very valuable, and the next drop could be paid, right? Because they've proved, okay, I'm here to provide value. I'm not here to extract value from you. And if you are sure that you are not only extracting value, there shouldn't be a problem for you to monetize NFTs. And a lot of the times it's see an NFT as a lead magnet in a way. So it could be free. And this is something to really think about. But yeah, coming back to the 1,000 true fans, like I said, it's never been more relevant than now, because everyone wants to be a content creator, everyone wants to be a musician or an influencer, and really focusing on how can maybe even think about your 10 true fans or your 100 truest fans. Like,
Yeah.
who are them?
I think that's perfect advice, to be honest. Like, yeah, lots of gold. I see lots of clippings already in this podcast, and we said much appreciated, Ole. Yeah, let's just quickly go over some more examples, but I think they repeat themselves here pretty good. So there's Avenged Sevenfold, which is a supposedly very big band. Like, I don't know them, but a friend of mine recommended. Sold 27 million yeah, records, you know. So not a small band, but I love their approach. Their website is really worth checking out. It's pretty cool, and so they brought out 10,000 unique yeah, PFPs basically, and they also take those people on a journey. My friend actually met them in New York, you know, in a bar. Like, they hosted this event, it was for free, and you actually got to meet those guys and talk to them, which is insane, right? And like, back in the day, that would have been insane. But NFTs enable that. You could do that without NFTs, no problem. But NFTs are just a really good way of um, gathering people. And what's new to NFTs, I think, is that it's much easier for the people, for the fans, to find themselves. Like, okay, you can find other people in the comments below under some Instagram post, yes, but it's much more efficient and easier if you share the same digital collectible, and then you find yourself in a Discord server, and it's set up really easy, and there you go. And so that's what I liked about their aspect, and they really understood we want to bring those fans with us. They even get to listen to albums before they come out, and like that kind of thing. And it always comes back to what we mentioned already a couple of times. It's that, yeah, get closer with your fans. And so I think, I'm not sure if you want to add anything, but I think it goes, yeah, along the same lines that we already
Yeah.
mentioned. And so the only thing I want to mention at last here, just a thought I had yesterday. So there's some music NFTs that I thought were quite cool, like by Mike Shinoda. He's a former LinkedIn Park member, or I'm not sure if I don't think the band exists anymore,
No.
not in it. But I thought what he did, really nice drop, and he had the same song but different beats somewhere and everything. So he used the metadata of an NFT to play around a little bit. And what, maybe a question also, so there's Tyler Hobbs. He's one of the most famous artists in the NFT space. He does generative art, and he brought out this project where you get a mint pass for, like, you have this platform, it's an algorithm, and you can create your own artwork based on the algorithm he provides you. And when you love the result, then you can mint it, and then that's your NFT. And so I thought that could be really interesting for music, for beats also, right? Like, you create this algorithm where people can play around, and then they can mint from your algorithm their beats. I'm not sure if is that a
Hmm.
practical
I don't think
approach?
so, if I'm honest,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
because I think good music. Okay, I don't want to like bash any visual artist because I'm a complete noob, right, in making digital art. But I do believe that a song has like more layers to it, and it's more difficult to kind of do it in a generative way that's not super boring and generic. So I think the music you love by your like favorite artist, it will be pretty hard to recreate anything close to it with a generative approach. It's maybe cool because it's like co-creation and you feel like you've done something yourself, but I don't really believe that the results will be like the amount of art and mastery of the craft will be like way lower compared to something that an artist actually created.
Hmm. Yeah, I get it. I think it could be a longer discussion, but totally agree. Like, especially with music, um, maybe some people value the co-creation more. But I would like to touch on two more topics before we round this up, as it already is a longer episode. Um, Royalties, like, that comes up often, obviously, with music, because it's I mean, you can tell much more about it. It's a problem. Like, the number I have is you need 233 Spotify listens for one to get $1. And so it's a revenue model that's very difficult for many people to get paid. And so I would like to discuss with you, like, NFTs have this ability. It's not, I think it's really important for the listeners, the viewers, to understand that you cannot enforce royalties. So you cannot program into the smart contract that there's a certain amount of royalties. That's not possible as of right now, technically, because the contract cannot know for how much you've sold the NFT. That's one of the reasons. And so, since it cannot know, it cannot attribute any royalties, right? Like, because if it was 10 ETH, how much do I give to this other smart contract? Either way, so what it's all dependent on is the marketplace. The marketplace has to say, yeah, if this NFT changes hand, um, there's a certain royalty that goes back to the artist. But how do you think about royalties with music NFTs? Is that a viable business, like that artists should also calculate with, or any thoughts?
Yeah, so I think that royalties with NFTs should always be considered and should always be the standard to use. And but I think the bigger solution here, or like the bigger problem in music in general, is that let's say you have a song on Spotify. Usually, you use a distributor that publishes the song on the platform, and most people also have a label as well. Or not most people, some like especially bigger artists, they use a label as well. And the biggest problem is that it's such a big black box, and you don't know where the money's. You have a million streams are around $3,000, and most times like that you don't see any of that, or you see a smaller percentage of that than you should see. And if I talked a lot about and a lot too, not about my publishers, and they also were like, we're trying to get the money, we don't know where it is. And I completely trusted those guys, or I still trust them. So it's so many intermediaries, and every time when we talk about intermediaries, it's like, okay, snap, that's a blockchain application. So I think a big part of the solution for royalties won't be found in NFTs and music, but in like streaming money solutions, basically. So those will be open payment networks, transparent payment networks. So let's say you have the song and you have a dashboard on Spotify, and that says, okay, you streamed it 1,000 times, which means, I don't know, $30 then around. And you can see, okay, those $30 will go to this label wallet, and it will be split by a smart contract, 50% into the label side, 20% into the distributor side, 30% to the artist, something like that. So you have a transparent flow of money. And I think that's a way bigger issue at the moment, that it's not that there's no money in music. Actually, I talked to one of my friends, and they're like golden times are starting again in the music industry, especially
Hmm.
because all those big labels, Universal, Sony, BMG, all of them, they have this huge catalogs of old music which is really popular, like say Michael Jackson, or I don't know what, Bob Dylan, whatever, the evergreens, and those stream like crazy, and they get the revenue without doing anything. There's just on
Hmm.
Spotify, and they just get it like the first time in like, I think 2 decades after basically the internet came around, music is really profitable again. So if people say, "Oh, there's no money in music," that's completely false. So it's
Hmm.
changing a lot. So I think coming back to the royalty part, I think musicians should always opt for all royalties and NFTs, and I also believe that most fans understand that, because that's the big difference of a speculator buying an NFT to flip, who hates the royalties because it makes the NFT more expensive when they sell, so they have less profit because those go into royalties. But if you have a fan buying, they don't care. They want to support you anyway. That's why they buy it. So they're happy to give 10%. That's what I think. But yeah, on the other hand, thinking about, okay, crypto could really make the payment rates more transparent for music. That's a big one, actually. Also on the music rights level. So if you have a song and it has 4 songwriters, in the session, in my mind, you sit down, because usually maybe you have a draft of paper. Oh, I wrote 25%, something like that, but it's completely like from the Stone Age. So in the
Hmm.
future, I think it could be that you sit in a session and you have like a no-code tool, and the end of the session, you mint an NFT that you which just basically states the rights of the songs, uh, lyrics by music, blah blah blah, 25% for him, for him, for him. You mint it into the NFT, and it's done. And you use this NFT once you publish the song to just create the royalty structure, and the payment structure will be automated by a smart contract, not by some intermediary sitting in whatever, like some country. I don't know who is this person in general. So I think those will be the solutions that will be super interesting for musicians. But it's also interesting to look at what will the big music players do now, because they also have more money at hand.
Hmm.
So that's yeah, it's interesting times in music, that's for sure.
Yeah, very, very cool. So, yeah, just to recap, I thought beautiful points again. Um, what blockchain technology and smart contracts can solve here is this transparency and automated payment, and that's
Yes.
that's maybe the big one, where it's just like it's not a matter of will your manager pass on the money. it's happening on a smart contract level. So it happens once the smart contract is triggered. It's just going to happen, nothing to do about it, and like really nothing to do about it. And so that's really cool. And yeah, I thought your other ideas were also. I hope that happens. That makes so much sense for finding clarity amongst producers, amongst musicians. How's the revenue share here? You can create a smart contract or an NFT. This can all happen. And when I talk to people who are not within the Web3 space, they always come up with, yeah, but what about this? What about this? And all I want to say is, no, it's not the perfect system. You can still like mess it up on a human level, but it's already so much closer to a better system, to a fair system, automated system than what we have right now, which is a mess, as you said. And so no, it's not solving the whole problems of the world here, the smart contract, but it can really help to get one step closer to a really good solution. And that's exciting. And so what I just want to add to royalties, because I was asked this yesterday, and I think it might be relevant for viewers, for listeners. um, it has shown in the NFT space. So in the beginning, the royalties that you get from when an NFT is resold, like there was actually a business model. Like you would say, oh, okay, I'm gonna create this collection and it gets resold a lot, and so I make money on the secondary market. And many people advertised, oh yeah, come to NFTs, also to artists, and you get all this money when it gets resold and when you get famous and you get big. And yes, there's a part to it, but it has for once it's not a great alignment of interests, right? Because if that's your business model, you want people to resell your NFTs, and we just talked an hour about how you want to engage with your audience, right? That's like they would just resell and out of your audience again, out of your NFT project. So that's not what you want to do. um, and so I think at least the NFT side, where like profile pictures or art has shown, is don't, like, it's a nice add-on and it should be there. Like it's really cool that artists have now the chance to get those royalties, but it's not your primary source of income. It's not what you say, okay, yeah, this is why I go to NFTs and use them. It's a nice add-on. It's not gonna pay you bills, most likely. And so that's just what I wanted to add, because people like gave out this wrong impression that yes, if you do NFTs and all this royalty, it's gonna make you rich. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's probably important. Last one, a bit before we round this up. Um, NFTs are a nice way to also do crowdfunding. So I listened to someone that said it really nicely, I think. NFTs bring a lot of things together. Like there's okay, you could download music before, like with streaming that wasn't any popular anymore, but now you can actually own a song. Nice. You could do crowdfunding on platforms like Patreon, no problem. Nice. But now NFTs can also combine it. You already have two things. Now you can also do a collectible with NFTs. Now you have three things. Then yeah, there's even more things you can do. You can help let the people share your success in some way, where they are like part owner or something. So NFTs, music NFTs, can bring so many aspects of things that were just scattered around in one thing, including the community. And so I thought that was really nice, and made a lot of sense to me. And now, yeah, lastly, talking about crowdfunding, how do you see music NFTs being a good mechanism to raise money and not to
Hmm.
go into the shackles of those yeah, labels that might sign you early, give you $5, and then you
Yeah.
you make them a million.
Yeah. Most musicians really rely on advances.
Hmm.
So that's an important topic to talk about. Same thing again for getting capital. I think it's important to concentrate on your true like 100 fans again, rather than getting like $5 from everyone. I think it kind of works better to just get some money to produce an album, maybe to get some advance. The thing again is you have to consider: am I selling any investment returns? Because if you do that, and you could get in trouble very fast, especially in a market that's already under scrutiny. So I think in some cases it's maybe better to use regular crowdfunding mechanisms if you're not sure about the legal side. But um, raising money in crypto is so much easier. Like, it's not even close. It's so easy. It's so fast. Just a wallet address, and you can raise some money. And you already have, if you do a crowdfunding, you also already know the wallet of all of your fans. So that's also, you also establish the kind of marketing relationship via wallet, which I think is will be way more important in the future. So what maybe today people still focus on: how can I get someone's email to mail them directly? I think the future will be like, okay, how can I get someone's wallet to, don't know, airdrop them something, or to establish a connection. So for raising capital, I never done it myself, and I never, to be honest, really followed it closely how well it works, and especially how where those people were located, because I think that's something to consider. I don't want to be like the guy
Mm.
always talking about, think about if it's legal or not, but like,
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
something you really have to consider, because you don't want to get sued for breaching any security laws because you sold an NFT and you promised, oh, you can earn. I think even if you say you can earn parts of my revenue and this will be like this, you promising investment returns, it's already hard. So it's nice to focus on collectibles, like we said, focus on um, maybe step one now. We probably will get more legal um, frameworks in the next year, very much very possible for Europe especially. So maybe first now, focus on, okay, how can I this create this experience, create a collectible, maybe it's even free. How can I get all my fans into my ecosystem, and then think about monetization. So if you think about raising capital with crypto, only do it if you already have an established brand in the space, you already gave out value. And otherwise, yeah, check out the legal status. But I think in the future, you will everything will be raised via NFTs or crypto, because it's just so much more efficient.
Mm.
But
Totally,
another thing,
totally. Yes.
then you have to, because you probably have to cash out the money. So also think about that, because a lot of banks, they don't work with crypto anymore, and they will ask,
Mm.
where is this money from? Okay, maybe we have to stop. I don't want to be too negative, but I heard, I've known enough stories of, so consider every single point of it and where it could possibly fail. So it's a good thought exercise always if you're in this space.
Yeah. No, no, very important. And I think we've given also the answer. Like, I think you can also raise money with collectibles, where you say, "Hey, this is special. This is collectible and anything." And maybe it's not securities laws, but be careful. Ole, to round this out, is there, when we talked for an hour now, what like, is there one thing still you need to you want to get across about the topic, or what has changed over the course of this conversation? What stuck with you, especially about music NFTs?
Um, yeah, I realize I think it's really a exciting time right now, because there's so many moving parts. There's like laws are changing, technology is changing, the music industry is changing, the like methods of delivery, content is changing. So there's so many different moving parts that, and it always, when everything is moving, that's your point for opportunity. And when everything's a bit uncertain, because we ourselves, we're still a little bit uncertain, right?
Mm.
No one's like completely sure that, um, this will be the next big thing and every musician will use music NFTs. But that's exactly the spot where you really want to focus, on getting into this. By the way, I think Chris Widowild and forgot the name. I think it's called Lucas. They just released a music NFT podcast, and they will just talk about music NFTs. Let me just check for 1 second. I can tell you the name. because I
Yeah.
think those guys, I had a panel talk with them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing a great job just talking about music NFTs and onboarding musicians. So if you're interested, definitely check those out.
Yeah, for sure. I can link that below. Ole, you gonna as every guest, you're gonna get a Tim Ferriss question. It's just too good not to
Oh God, okay, here
to
we go.
pose it. So, if you had a billboard that a lot of people, millions of people, the whole world would see, it's really big. Um, what would you write on it? What message do you wanna get out there?
Just get started.
Get started.
That's
Love it. That's
just get
so
started. Yeah,
so
just get started.
actionable, and it's
Yeah,
very true. Do you want to elaborate any further on just get started? Why is it just get
yeah.
started?
I think that's like a fallacy, and I'm also sometimes falling into this trap of thinking, okay, I need to read more, I need to learn more, I need to talk to more people. But probably you just have to act on the last book you read or the last 10 books you read, and you don't need the new one. And those are the exciting times for like early adopters. It's just get started. Once you get started, like you'll get into the iterative process of learning from your mistakes, and you find one thing, and you just like follow your curiosity basically. And yeah, it's just an exciting time now to get started and not to get stuck. So it's a problem I had in my past. So that's my message for today.
Nice, nice. I just thought what I would say, but I guess we leave that for some other podcast. Um, Thank you so much for being such a nice guest and co-host and everything. Where can people find you, Ole?
So you can find me mainly on Twitter and LinkedIn. My Twitter handle is ole.eth, so all just spelled out. And the same name on LinkedIn is ole.eth or Ole Lehmann. Yeah, and I write a lot on LinkedIn daily, on Twitter. I'm a thread boy on Twitter. If you're
Frat
interested
boy,
in,
is that a thing?
yeah.
I didn't know.
If you, yeah. I also
Yep.
run a podcast. It's called
Mhm.
Wallets in Wonderland. You can find that on Spotify. Next year, I'll start my YouTube journey, so it will also be on YouTube with video. But for now, it's audio only.
Awesome. Yeah, lots of touch points. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think lots of gold for people wanting to know more about music NFTs. And with that, we go into the holidays. Merry Christmas to you. Merry
Yeah,
Christmas to
same.
everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we see you next time.
Like and subscribe.
Oh, true. I never say this. Yeah, if you find joy here, find good information, like and subscribe for sure. Bye
Now
bye.
it's a wrap.
Yes, thanks. Bye bye.